different levels, I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Culturepath Experience. I am your host, Reggie Chapman, alongside a very special guest, and James Simmons from A Dad Thing. And James, just first off, hello and welcome to the pod.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. And I'm just looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to spending some time with you today.
Well, look, let's just get it started right off the bat. I see the polo, A Dad Thing on the shirt. Can you just give me a little bit of background about yourself, what A Dad Thing is, and how did we get here?
Yeah, man. So I am a dad. I'm a girl dad. Proud of it. It's funny, I'm one of four boys. So now my brothers and I are blessing my mom with all of the girls. So I got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, soon to be 10. And before they came, I've always had a desire to be a dad. And when my girls came, I knew I wanted to do something for the fatherhood environment. And I started this private Facebook group called The Dad's Thing. And from there, it's taken off over the years to the point now that I bring it to work every day. And I work with dads on a consistent basis, just providing community support, encouragement. My motto is this: fatherhood is a journey you don't have to do alone. So don't. So these guys are partnering with me as I partner with them. So that's where it started from.
That's a beautiful thing, man. A beautiful thing. And naturally, you're trying to find a way to merge between you, that kind of interest, and also your outside interest of actually being outside. Of course, this is the Culturepath Experience. We're here to talk about some experiences on the path, being Black in this world, and trying to do outdoor activities. And I'm curious. So you're into mountain biking. How did you get to the point of becoming a mountain biker and enjoying going up and down to these hills?
Yeah, man. It's a funny story because, I hadn't been on a bike probably in 30 years as far as a mountain bike is concerned. I did a little bit of road biking, but not much mountain biking. But I volunteer in my community as a Parks and Rec commissioner. And as a newly appointed commissioner, I wanted to get up to speed on some of the issues that were going on in our community. And one of the big things was just this little squabble between our mountain bike community and our hikers. So I said, let me get out on the trails and see what's up. So obviously I took a hike, so I was able to do it from that vantage point. And then somebody, a nice person in the community, offered to take me for a ride and let me borrow their bike. And I was on the mountain bike going through the trails. And I tell you, as soon as I hit the trails, I just was like, I've been missing this. I needed something. And that was the thing that got me started to get out on the trails. Shortly thereafter, I bought a bike. And it's been 3 years now that I've been on the trails riding and enjoying myself.
Well, I'm curious. You took over that position. Why did you do that? Like you said, is you had to learn what the hiking side of things, and you didn't really have any mountain biking experience. What made you take over a position that you're in charge of both of those things?
What made me, A, is a desire to serve my community. That's it. And wanted to be closer to the folks in my community. And then, as a gentleman who's getting a little bit older, wanted to get some exercise, exercise outdoors, being with folks. It just was really, really enticing. And it was just a great combination for me. And then, out on the trail, that's when I meet Reggie Sr., right? And from there, we've built a brotherhood, you know what I mean? A bond over the last 3 years where I can get some mentorship. We can do the peer-to-peer things and just really enjoy the outdoors together as a community. Part of the culture, man, part of the culture. When you see someone who looks like you got to give them that nod. What's up, bro? I see you. And that was immediately what it was out there on the trail one day as a newbie for me.
Well, just for some context for the people listening at home, Reginald Sr. is the founder of Culturepath. I am his son, and I'm, of course, the host of this podcast. So we're very excited to be able to do this. And as you see on screen, it's Black voices and Black people talking about this type of experience. And you just mentioned it. Do you remember that moment when you first saw him out on the trail and you thought, like you said, it was one of your first times riding. So maybe you didn't realize it, but it doesn't happen very often where you see another person of color, another Black person, especially a Black man, out on the trails enjoying themselves doing the mountain biking.
Yeah, man. I mean, we have all the stereotypes, right? Black people can't swim. We don't mess with mountains, and we don't do the outdoor things.
Which, by the way, a lot of it's because of racism. I want to make sure that that's how it happened. It's not our fault.
Really, I mean, and we can do a whole new another session just on that alone. But
Yeah.
just the stereotypes that are out there, and just to be out there debunking that stuff, right? It's not true. We love the outdoors. We love mountain biking, skiing, hiking, and doing all those things. These are things that people do, right? And as Black men, Black women, Black people, we're people, and we enjoy those things as well. So when I saw, Reggie Senior out on the trail, I saw him and I felt seen at the same time. And it just was a magnet. And, we've been riding ever since. So definitely a great, great opportunity that was out there because I was by myself. I was a newbie. I had no idea what I was doing. But for someone just to stop what they were doing and say, "Hey, what's going on, man? You riding?" It's like, "Yeah, I am riding." And then to take me under his wing to show me the ropes, show me the trails, that was really special.
What was it like that first time, and what was it about the first time that made you fall in love with it?
Part of it is the camaraderie, right? Because I really believe for me, right, that was something that I was missing coming out of COVID, just the camaraderie. I am a dad, but I do need my space as well, and being out on the trails is something that I can do to recharge my battery. So when I do come home, I can be the husband I need to be, and I can be the dad that need to be because the battery is charged. So that's, what being out there gives me. And in the beginning, I was like a deer in headlights. I had no idea what I was doing. It was scary. The thought of I could be out here in the woods, get lost, right? We do have wild animals, right? You see the first sign I saw was like beware mountain lions. I was like, man, I need to go back to the car because I ain't fighting no cat,
Nope.
but quickly you get educated and you learn. And I think when you do it with a partner, the saying goes out there, all you got to do is ride faster than your buddy and you ain't got to worry about nothing that's behind you. So I just try to stay faster than my riding buddies.
Is it a problem when you're going with my dad, especially those first couple of times where you were the new person? You're just did that take extra I don't know stress on you?
Not added, he broke me into it really, really nicely, just educating me on what was going on. And I was thinking about it because we've been out on a couple of rides for this season. I don't ride much in the rain, so once that clears up, then I get back out there. So I've been on about 5 rides to start my season. But just starting with him, there was a lot of things that I could learn just by watching him, by trailing him, right? So for all of you new folks out there, our bikes are equipped with seats that rise and drop. So these computer chairs we're sitting in, we hit that little lever and it'll drop on us. Our seats can do the same thing. And I didn't know what that was about. But I quickly learned that every time we were descending, going down, we dropped that seat so we can have a lower center of gravity. And then when we're climbing, we'd hit the button so the seat would raise so we can extend our legs and things of that nature and it'd be a little bit more comfortable. So I was able to visually watch him do these things and learn. And as a result, they gave me a lot more confidence in my abilities.
Do you remember what was maybe the moment where you thought like, wow, this is it. I'm really doing this. Like the first time, of course, it was just a good time and you're just enjoying yourself. But was there a moment where you thought like, man, this might be like what I really do for forever. I really enjoy this. Was it a certain moment, something that you saw, a certain trail or location?
Man, we went on a ride in Pacifica. And, on these trails, you get a view of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely beautiful, right? And then the other thing you got to do is make sure that you maintain your focus, right? No matter how beautiful it is, you are riding on the side of a cliff. And if you're not careful and you're not paying attention, you can think it go sideways really, really quickly. So
Right.
the combination of being out there, just seeing the beauty, the skill set, getting a little bit better. I'm like, I mean, it's hard not to fall in love with it. You know what I mean? And again, to me, while the writing aspect is really important and great, it always goes back to the camaraderie, right? On the ride there, talking about life. On the ride coming home, talking about the ride, talking about life. How are we going to meet up for the next time? So with all of that together, man, I couldn't ask for a better Saturday because we go on Saturdays. Couldn't ask for a better Saturday. So whether it was rainy and muddy or whatever it is. And I found myself doing stuff that I normally wouldn't do, right? Like you figure a mountain biker, you're going to get dirty just this weekend. Red Senior is like, I'm gonna go ride through this stream. I was like, man, we can go around. We ain't gotta ride
Classic.
through the stream. You know what I'm saying? So I turned around, and then all of a sudden I heard this scream. And I looked back and I didn't see him. I said, "Oh, snap, what happened?" So he went through it. And I said, "Well, I guess I got to go through it now." And
Right.
I sure enough did. So those things are fun, man. And the memories, they just last forever, bro.
Well, you got lucky because you got the chance to be able to meet somebody almost right away doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
For people that are just joining,
Mhm.
how can they try and find their community?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, one thing I would do is I would just do a simple Google search of mountain biking in my area. For me, I didn't know, but you do that, you'll find a lot of things that are right in your area about the bike shops. Visit your local bike shop. Those guys and girls down there will let you know who the mountain bike folks are, road bike folks, whatever it may be, but they'll give you the information on how you can get started. But my biggest thing is if you are interested, you will do the other things that it takes to get educated, to get the right equipment, to find the right spots. You'll put the time in if this is something that you want to do. But it's nothing like getting somebody who's going to help you those very first few rides to get you started, because it could be daunting. Like I said, one of my biggest fears was going out there and getting lost on a trail, right? And
Right.
not knowing where I was, how I'm going to get back. That was the most scariest thing to me. But everything else after that, I can ride a bike, I can do all those things. Um, Finding someone who can be a little bit of a mentor would definitely help and go a long ways. And when you're out there, you'll find somebody. Just be friendly.
Right. You mentioned the bike and the seats and
Yeah.
how it pops up and down. I mean, naturally, if you're somebody that's just starting out, I'm gonna go to Walmart. I'm gonna go somewhere
Yeah.
like that. I'm gonna see a mountain bike just because it has the special tires, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then eventually you start to notice that I mean, you can get bikes all the way from $300 to $400, maybe even cheaper, to
Hmm.
thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. For somebody
Hmm.
that's just beginning, how do you kind of deal with that sort of thing? The money aspect, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
should be outside, it should be something that's free, and it
Yeah.
is, but you need
Yeah.
obviously some of the equipment to be able to do it. What are some of your advices to try and get to a point where you can be able to afford this and do it well?
Yeah, I would say the one of the most important things, and just with anything, is to do your homework and do your research. Right? If you have a budget, right, and we all have a budget. Some might say, you know what, I got a few grand to spend. Good for you, right? For
Right.
me, I couldn't just go out and buy a bike that costs four, five, $6,000. So I knew some of the features based off of the ride that I went. It was like, all right, these are some must-haves for me. I needed a dropper post, which is the seat that comes up and down.
Yep.
And as far as my gears and things like that, I needed a 1 by 10 cassette. So the first crank, I just wanted to be one. So some of us more older school folks who ride bikes, we remember the 10 speeds will have like three or four, gears in the front and then the ones in the back where the chain is on. But do your research, right? Do your research, know what you want as far as some of those features. And when you do go into stores, right, just listen to folks. Some people gonna want to upsell you, and I think you can have a little intuition of who's for you and who's not for you when you go into a bike shop or if you go to buy a car, something like that. If you know what you want when you go in, you're gonna know who's trying to steer you in a different direction.
Right.
And then, there's nothing wrong with buying used for your first bike. One of the things that I did, I didn't want to spend too much money because I wasn't sure if I would last more than a season or two. So I bought a bike that I can grow into. I can use it for a few seasons, still get a good resale on it if I decided to sell it to move into something different. So do your research. That's the biggest advice I have is do your research.
So when you're up on the trails, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of research is sometimes it's trying to figure what you like, what you don't like, things you can and can't do. As you've been
Yeah.
on the trails so far over the last couple of years, have you figured out where your limit is, and how did you figure out where that is?
Man, well, I know that I want to come home every night, right, to my
Hmm.
wife and my kids. So I'm gonna stay within my range, and I think I've always been a good person to judge my skills. I come from riding motorcycles, right? So I know what fast looks like, and I know what danger looks like. So when I was out on the trails, one of the things I did was I just went to a very entry level trail just so I can understand how my bike worked, right? And how it would respond on certain terrain. And then from there, I gradually went to different trails, but still always riding within my capabilities. So regardless of who's leading me, I'm always going to ride within my capabilities because they can ride better than me. They've been doing it a little longer. The moment I start pushing it, that's when things could go awry really, really fast. So I just within me as being a little bit of an older guy, I was like, yeah, man, I got the gear on, my knee pads, my elbow pads, all of that type of stuff. Yeah, I need to come home to my kids every night.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Were there any moments where you thought like, I might not go home to my wife and my kids tonight?
Yeah,
Did you have any
man.
close calls out on the trail?
Yeah, I've had a couple close calls, and if you check out some of the videos, you can see it. I got it on video, but at Pacifica, my first year going there, and this is, riding on the side of the cliff, beautiful view of the Pacific Ocean. You get into a flow, right? You get a little downhill, grade, and you starting feeling it, and you're going like this and that. Um, One corner, it jumped up and it bit me, and I didn't quite make it, and I ran into a bush. And fortunately, that bush was there because if it wasn't there, I may have tumbled down a little bit. So that really caught my attention. And again, it was like, you need to ride within your limits, riding within your capabilities. And again, preparation goes a long way. When we go out, we have the luxury of looking at all of the trails that we ride on. So we know what we should be expecting before we get there. But as a newbie, I didn't do that. I just was following.
Well, look, you're not new to being on bikes. Like you
Yeah.
said, former your background is in riding motorcycles.
Yeah.
Are there any similarities between motorcycles and mountain biking? And what are some of the lessons that you maybe took from that world into this new world?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson from going from a motorcycle to this, especially this type of riding, is the safety equipment, right? There's a lot of folks out there on mountain bikes that from head to toe, obviously we want to have our helmets on. Sometimes I wear full face masks. Sometimes I just got a half shell, just depending on how I feel or where we're going determines what I want to do or what type of footage I want to get because I can hang my camera in different spots. But like I said, I have elbow pads that I wear, obviously gloves with knuckles on there because you brush up against different things, knee pads, and I also wear shin guards as well
Mm.
because I got the type of pedals that have these screws in there that are metal, and if they rotate and they get you, it's going to be done. And a lot of us older folks, I'm talking about us who, was born in the 70s and 80s. I think we can remember those metal pedals and those things rotating and getting the shin and cutting you up a little bit. So I've seen some really gruesome stuff. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, once you've ridden a bike and you've been on two wheels, it's pretty much all the same. The bike wants to stay up. It wants to go in a straight line and go fast. It's just a matter of you controlling it.
I'm curious also, we're talking about different avenues or different tools for this.
Yeah.
Do you have a way that you like to, I don't know, find your trails, the different thing, like the different places that you like to go? How do you
Mhm.
find different locations if you were just to start, other than just hitting Google? Hey, where's the trail?
Right, right, right. So again, a lot of these groups that you can join on Facebook, I belong to a group on Facebook, Bay Area Mountain Bikers, Bambi. There's always somebody posting a ride, giving you the location and things like that. So that's a great way of how we find some of the rides we go on because you'll see a trail and it's like, whoa, that was pretty hot. I want to go check that out. So you put that on a list. Trail Forks, a lot of different apps out there that will show you the mountain bike trails, hiking trails. Some of them are free, and then some of them have paid subscriptions that you can pay for and get more access to some things. And that's one of the things I recently did is I subscribed to Trail Forks because I wanted to get a little bit more educated on the trails where they are because I want to be able to give my audience more information, not just seeing the trail that I've ridden, but I want them to know, hey, this is where the trailhead was. This is what the trail elevation and all of that. I want to be more informative to help people out.
Obviously, informative with your children, your two girls, right?
Mhm.
Two
Yeah.
girls.
Yep. Two girls.
Have you been able to try and bring them out on the trail yet? Is it too early to try and get them out there on a bike?
So there's two things for that, right? Too early because their bikes aren't set up for that. They got regular, kind of BMX type bikes, and we go for rides on just the local paths, right? So that's what we've done, and I really enjoy that. Sometimes I take both of them. Sometimes it's just one of them with me, and we'll just go for a nice little ride and have a great time. But this right here, I'm a little selfish. This is dad's time. This is a time that I'd get my battery charged with a little bit of excitement, and then the bonding with my riding buddy. So I haven't gotten them out to the mountains yet, and I'm not sure if they'd want to do that. But we'll see as they get a little bit older. But right now, I'm a little selfish. I gotta say, I'm a little selfish. That's
I
for
was,
me.
I was about to say, does that apply to your wife as well?
Oh, my wife won't go.
Okay.
See, I ain't gotta worry about that. She ain't going.
You never just try to convince her, like, oh, you might as well just come hang out, come see what I do.
This right here. This ain't for her. So she's like, "Hey, you see you later." You know what I mean? So I have my blessings to go. All I have to do is let her know what trail I'm at, just in case something happens. She know where I'm at in the pinch, and other than that, she knows that's my thing. Yeah.
Obviously, this is the Culture Path Experience. I just want to just do a quick breakdown with you on why it's important that we have conversations like this to try and break down the barriers for other people that look like us to be able to do stuff like this. Why is it important that more Black people are, I guess, part of stuff like this, outdoor adventure sports, and especially mountain biking?
Yeah, man, and it's important, and I think geography may have a little bit to do with why it's more important in some areas than others,
Mm,
right? Because I think there's some places where there's just a higher population of Black folks that are doing these things that me being here on the West Coast, I'm just not aware of, right? So I don't want to say that our people aren't doing these type of things, but when we are in Northern California on the peninsula where we are, the demographics is really low. You know what I mean? And you don't necessarily see a lot of folks that look like us doing these things. So that's where we do have these special clubs and try to make sure that we communicate to know that folks love doing these things because we do, right?
yeah.
It's no different than wanting a good neighborhood to live in, no different than wanting to have a great educational system for your kids to go in and to be able to have a place where you can be safe and just enjoy life. That's what we all want. You know what I mean? So this is no different. This is part of life, and I'm just glad that I've found it again in my older years, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with other folks as I continue to develop the love for it, man.
Yeah, I was about to say that just brings me to my next question. What's next for you in your journey?
Yeah, yeah. It's a great question. And I think I started a little bit just to be more educational with folks to let them know what these trails are because I knew how important that was to me to feel comfortable knowing when I get to trail X, what I should expect, or even how to get to trail X, what to expect, right? That was important to me. And I want to be able to give that to somebody else who's new to the sport or new to the area, wanting to find trails to ride on. I want them to be able to enjoy it and not have to worry about some of those things because that fear can really, have a person not go out and do something that they really enjoy just because they have that fear of whatever it may be. I don't want to get lost. I don't know where the trails are. Don't want that to stunt anybody's growth and joy for doing an activity outdoors that's going to keep you healthy and sane.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. Incredible. Well, I think we've reached the end of our time. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I thought that you thought I might ask us? The classic journalism question. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we go?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the platform because not just a place where we can talk about the outdoor stuff, but there's so many other things. Once we get together, that branches off from us being together, mountain biking, hiking, and skiing, and that has a direct effect on how our communities are shaped and how our communities either thrive or not thrive. You know what I mean? So that is one thing that I really, really take away from it because, like I said, the writing is a piece of it, but the camaraderie and the learning is a whole different ball game. And I get to use that, you know, Sunday through Friday, right? The riding part is the recharging, but then I get to put to work all of the things that I got from that day into my week. And that makes me a better person. Like I said, a better husband, a better father, a better employee, a better community member. And that's what I value so much about being able to get out on the bike and ride.
Incredible, man. And look, you thanked us, but we thank you for coming on the show. And for that reason, we're going to give you a second here to just shout out what you got kind of going on. Where can people find you, and what can people expect when they find you on social media, Facebook and beyond?
Yeah. So, I'm always trying to get stuff out that's relevant to fatherhood. I use the mountain biking experience to share my love for fatherhood, right? So there's always going to be something that goes on in my videos that may hint towards, how this makes me a better dad. And then I got, my Instagram, X, YouTube channels. You can find me if you just Google at a dad's thing 650, and then all of those things will come up for those different social media sites. On YouTube, on Facebook, excuse me, the private fatherhood group. This is just for dads solely. You can find that at a dad's thing. And I go live there on Monday and just talk about a recap of the week. And I call it, Monday breakthrough, right? Monday can be a really hard day for us to get into, our work week after having a weekend. So I come on at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time and just kind of recap the week and just try to, be a voice of encouragement to the fellas out there so they can get on a good foot their week. And then Spotify, I have a podcast called A Dad's Thing Podcast. Right now, I got one season on there, which I talked about fatherhood and football. So I got about 15 episodes where I interview different people that meant a lot to me, that mean a lot to me in the world of football. And we talked about football and fatherhood. And now I'm kind of rebooting that because I want to be able to talk about more topics. So it's just A Dad's Thing podcast, and you can find that on Spotify.
Real quick, what was the message today? I mean, we are filming this on a Monday. I don't know when this is coming out, but we are filming on a Monday. What was today's message?
Well, the message is, what I get there is, fellas, I'm sorry for the lack of consistency. I had a meeting at lunchtime, which went. So that's the thing, is me wanting to be consistent and bring something on a weekly basis. So there might be a Monday where I don't get, so I'll come through with a video or something like that. But didn't get with the fellas today just because of a work thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It all makes sense. So what can we expect next week? Do you just do it off the top of your head? Have you started planning it?
Yeah.
How does it work?
No specific topics, man. And that's one of the things I like about it, because I really just see what's happening in the world. Something might strike me about the topic of fatherhood, and I'll give that to the guys on there. One of the big things lately has just been fatherhood and faith. We just recently, my family made a move from our faith community to a new faith community. So giving folks a little bit of an insight on what that means and how taking control of that situation has really put a brighter light on us in a very, very good and positive way, right? Taking control of situations that might not have been so good, and then doing something about it, and then seeing what happens from there. And it's been good. It's been a blessing. So not wanting to be a victim, wanting to be a person who's about solutions and about moving forward.
James Simmons, thank you very much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. That is episode 1 of the Culturepath Experience. I'm your host, Reggie Chapman. James, thanks again for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
All right.
Whoa, 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 whoa.